even on the basis, right? Derek, you kind of talked about, the different groups of people that you work with. And one I kind of want to go back and specifically kind of address is, men's health. I know that there's this idea that, women are nurturers. They grow up understanding and being able to feel and have feelings. But men, for some reason, we have this idea of suppression, or, we don't feel like we can speak to anyone, or, we just don't have that circle. When something happens with a woman, she gets her girls, there's a circle, there's a powwow, and they handle that, right? But as a man, right, like what do we have? And so can you elaborate on, I don't want you to name any clients or any personal things because I know it's confidential, but like, can you elaborate on like how some of those sessions go along?
Yeah, and that's interesting you bring that up. I think there is I think obviously it takes bravery to even, come in and see a counselor or see a psychologist, no matter who you are, whether you're a guy, girl, whatever gender you may be at this time. I think that, it takes a lot of bravery to come in, first of all. So I think one of the things that I found, especially working with men, is um, is to help kind of put out the fire that's them, right? This is kind of actually an analogy I'll use with a client is, right, you're on fire and everything around you is on fire. Okay. And you have an endless bucket of water. But the first thing you have to do to put out your pain, right, is you have to pour that bucket of water on you and put your own fire out first. Okay. And as you put your own fire out first, right, like I said, this is an endless bucket of water. Okay. So this bucket refills. But as you poured that water out, right, a little bit got around you as well. And it started to put out a little bit of that fire around you. Okay. And so there's different obstacles that you kind of go through. And as you're trying to walk these different obstacles and get to this different area, okay, I need to put out this area of this fire. Okay, well, I need to keep dumping this bucket. And that bucket, right, it only dumps out a little bit of that fire. So what does that mean, right? You're going step by step, and it's very slow. And I think that's where people come in, especially guys. They want a solution just like that. And with guys, I try to equip them with things that they can use daily, whether it's breathing, whether it's reframing their thoughts, focusing on their self-talk, just to name like three of them. And then from there, we start to dive in a little bit more to, all right, once we're regulated, once you can kind of control yourself in the day to day, okay, let's look at what's triggering this stuff now. What's the cause of this? And now this gets back into looking at the past, right? Okay, looking, attachment, developmental psychology, right? About how were you brought up and all this kind of stuff. So
That was interesting, man. And I like your analogy. You're so and for those of you guys don't know, like, Derek is it Filipino or Philippines?
what's that?
Are you like part Filipino?
Yeah, yeah, partly Filipino, yes.
So that water analogy, you've always been in tune with the water and the beach and stuff like that. So like I picked up on it immediately as soon as you started talking about it. Um so yeah, with that being said, so Saran, what when you think of, men's health, are you, and rightfully so, but are you an advocate of men going to therapy as well? Does it work? Do you believe in it?
Yeah, I believe therapy, whatever your form of therapy may look like you said, therapy is not just sitting on a couch. Therapy could be play therapy. There's vast amounts of therapy, but I think everybody could benefit from therapy. And like you said, just figuring out ways to cope from day to day. Like it doesn't have to be anything major. It's just how to regulate yourself in order to face the obstacles you might, deal with every day. But you pointed out, and I have a question for you, and I know this is a secret for all of my professors, but and a lot of people, so I don't even know if you'll disclose it. But do you have like a specific theoretical approach that you kind of lean more towards? Because I know you named like attachment theories and you've named a couple, and for the most part, everybody's like, to be a great psychologist, it has to be integrative. And I totally agree with that. But do you have kind of like a specific theoretical approach you kind of lean on?
Interestingly enough, I actually start off with behavior. So Lamar, you fit right into this conversation. I don't know why you didn't said you didn't, but you do, because I start with the behavior, right? Like I said, I start with those little interventions to, something little to help regulate first. And then I would say and then it's a little bit more eclectic from there. So, right, it gets from behavioral, then to cognitive, a little bit to psychodynamic, a little bit to DBT, CBT. So it bounces all over.
Mhm.
But then I always bring it back again to this my base, which is again performance psychology, right? At the end of the day, no matter what, when someone's coming to you, right, they want to get better. So in that sense, right, if you're down here, you're depressed. Okay, well, guess what? My job is to get you from here to there, right? Same thing with an athlete, like I mentioned earlier. All right, you're stuck here. Well, I'm going to get you here, right? It's the same thing. Now it just, the problem is different.
Mhm.
Right? And all it is just kind of addressing and where you start off building and go from there. But again, every person's different. So
Yeah. I just wanted to ask because I know you did start with like the behavior, and then you're like, and then we go back to what's triggering. I'm like, that is that where that psychodynamic goes in. But okay,
yeah.
that's